At 2:17 a.m., the bell at the front desk rang. Mara Voss looked up from her book. The hotel had been closed for 11 years. Outside, rain struck the windows in long silver lines. The old Grand Bellamy stood alone at the edge of Blackwater Lake, its balconies rotting, its sign missing half its letters. Mara had been hired to watch the property until the developers arrived in the spring. Nobody came here. Nobody was supposed to. The bell rang again. Once. Mara stood slowly. On the security monitor, the lobby was empty. The front doors were locked. The corridor lights flickered softly, showing only faded wallpaper, dust, and the dark wooden staircase rising to the upper floors. Then the bell rang a third time. Mara picked up the antique brass desk bell and turned it over. The sound had not come from it. It had come from upstairs, from room 13. She stared toward the staircase. Room 13 had been sealed since 1998. That was what the owner had told her. Don't enter it, don't remove the boards from the door, and whatever you hear at night, don't go upstairs. Mara had laughed when he said it. She did not laugh now. The sound came again, a soft, polite bell, as if a guest were waiting for service. Mara took the flashlight from beneath the desk and climbed the stairs. The second-floor hallway smelled of wet carpet and old wood. Her footsteps sank into the faded red runner. On either side of her, framed photographs of the hotel's former guests watched from the walls. Politicians, singers, newlywed couples, smiling families from another century. At the far end of the hall stood room 13. The door was still covered with wooden boards, but beneath it a thin line of warm yellow light glowed across the floor. Mara stopped. Then she saw something else. Wet footprints. They began at room 13 and crossed the carpet toward her. Bare footprints. One set. They stopped halfway down the hall. Mara's hand shook around the flashlight. "Hello?" she called. No answer. Only rain. She backed away, returned to the lobby, and locked herself in the office until morning. At sunrise, she called the owner. He arrived 3 hours later in a black sedan, looking older than Mara remembered. His name was Edwin Bellamy. His grandfather had built the hotel. When she told him what had happened, he said nothing for a long time. Then he walked upstairs. Mara followed. The footprints were gone. The light beneath room 13 had vanished. Edwin stood before the boarded door, his face pale. "You should have called the police," Mara said. "For what?" "For someone in there." "No one is in there." He said it too quickly. Mara looked at the old boards nailed across the door. "Then why is it sealed?" Edwin's eyes shifted toward the windows at the end of the hall. "There was a murder here," he said. The words seemed to change the temperature of the room. In 1998, a woman named Evelyn Harrow was found dead in room 13. She was a guest, a journalist. Who killed her? No one knows. Mara frowned. No one? The hotel was full that night, a wedding party, every room occupied. Everyone had an alibi. And the room? Locked from the inside. Mara looked again at the door. The police believed Evelyn was alone. They thought she had fallen, hit her head maybe, done something to herself. But, Edwin swallowed. But her body was found sitting upright in a chair, her hands folded in her lap, and written on the wall above her in blood were 4 words. Mara waited. Edwin looked at the door. The last guest lied. And at that night, Mara did not sleep. At 2:17 a.m., the bell rang again. This time she was waiting. She went upstairs with her flashlight, a camera, and the rusted crowbar she had found in the basement. Room 13 glowed beneath the door. The wet footprints appeared again, but this time they were different. They led toward the room, not away from it. Mara raised the crowbar. The first board came loose with a crack. The second took longer. By the time she pulled away the third, the hallway lights began to flicker. Something moved inside the room. Mara froze. The final board fell. The door was unlocked. She pushed it open. Room 13 had been untouched for 11 years. Dust covered everything. The bed sheets were yellowed. A cracked mirror hung above the dresser. In the corner stood a wooden chair facing the wall. There was no body, no blood, no sign that anyone had ever died there. Then Mara saw the bell. It sat on the bedside table, a small brass service bell, the same kind as the one downstairs. Beside it lay an old cassette recorder and a tape. On its label, written in faded black ink, were the words, "Last guest, 2:17 a.m. Mara pressed play. At first there was only static. Then a woman's voice whispered, "If you're hearing this, he found the tape too late." Mara's breath caught. The voice continued. "My name is Evelyn Harrow. I came to the Bellamy Hotel to investigate a disappearance. A girl vanished here in 1971. Another in 1984. They said both women left town. They lied." A sound came through the tape. Footsteps. A man walking slowly across a room. Evelyn began to cry. "The owner knows. He keeps a list. The last guest in each room, the person who saw too much, the person who had to be silenced." The tape clicked. Then Edwin Bellamy's voice filled the room. Young, calm, unmistakable. "You shouldn't have opened the door, Evelyn." The recording ended. Mara stood perfectly still. Behind her in the doorway, someone breathed. She turned. Edwin Bellamy stood in the hall. He held a hammer. "You should have listened," he said. The hallway lights went out. Mara ran. She slammed the door of room 13 and shoved the chair beneath the handle. Edwin struck the other side once, twice. The wood groaned. Mara searched the room wildly. There was only one window. It overlooked Blackwater Lake, 3 floors below. Then she saw something scratched into the wall beside the mirror. Not words, names, dozens of names. And at the bottom, one name that had been scratched recently. Mara Voss. The door splintered. Edwin pushed through. Mara grabbed the brass bell from the bedside table and rang it. Once. The sound was small, delicate, but the room changed. The temperature dropped. The mirror cracked down the center. And from the dark corner behind Edwin, someone whispered, "The last guest lied." Edwin stopped. His face emptied of color. A wet footprint appeared on the floor behind him. Then another. Then another. They came from every corner of the room. Bare feet. Women's feet. Edwin backed toward the door. "No," he whispered. "No, no, no." The lights flashed. For 1 second, Mara saw them. Women standing in the room. Pale faces. Soaked hair. Empty eyes. Evelyn Harrow sat in the wooden chair. Her hands were folded in her lap. Edwin screamed. The door slammed shut. Mara covered her ears. When the lights returned, the room was silent. Edwin was gone. Only his hammer remained on the floor. And on the wall above the chair, written in fresh, dark letters, were 4 new words. "The last guest is home."